Trapper Tackle. These award-winning, revolutionary designed hooks that we carry in cross-bow outfitters. So everybody wants to look at them. They look kind of crazy, and it's kind of hard to distinguish which one you want to use at which point in time. They look different. They're very intimidating to some anglers. They don't fully understand the purpose behind them and how they work, and they don't fully understand the fact that they actually do work, and they work extremely well, a lot better than the traditional hooks that people are used to using. But they only work as well as how you use them. That's with any tool in your toolbox or any tool in your tackle box. So tonight what we're going to cover is we're going to cover the difference between the triple extra heavy, the extra heavy, and the original offset white gap hooks. Alright? So first off, let's cover your triple extra heavy. These hooks are super heavy gauge wire. These are made for some of your bigger fishing. Really heavy cover. You got to yank the fish out of thick mats. You're doing some punching and stuff like that. So with that being said, if you're looking at punching with heavy cover, heavy rod, and you have that really stout rod that you're using to drive this hook home, imagine this being one of those really thick, super heavy cover straight shank flipping hooks. That's how thick these are. You need a stout rod and some stout line to pull that hook through the fish's jaw. Now, for your general purpose, almost everyday use in almost every type of cover or basket living, if they're holding tight to cover, I would go with these extra heavies. These extra heavies are about the same as what you would see in a Superline extra wide gap from one of the other brands out there. They're stout enough to hold up to a lot of abuse. I've literally seen Phil Belcher of Trapper Tackle horse in a 25-pound bonita using this hook, and the hook was fine. It wasn't even bent, nothing. So just to kind of give you an idea on how stout these hooks are, if a 25-pound bonita isn't going to bend it, your bass is not going to do anything to that. I don't care how much cover he's got on top of it. And then we go back to our standard original wide gap hooks. Now, the wire gauge on these is more like your standard worm hook, or maybe even a shaky head type wire gauge, some of your lighter stuff. Really what this is going to be good for is if you're using medium power rod and you're not really looking to be able to set the hook all that hard, but just given the fact that you're using lighter equipment, this is what you want. This needle point will get penetration out. What happened to me, and the way that I learned this, is I live down here in Florida. And down here in Florida we have a lot of heavy cover. We got a lot of big bass. So what was my go-to? I started off going to this triple extra heavy super wide gap hook. The problem was I was using this medium power Veritas casting rod, and I also had it on a 15-pound fluorocarbon. Well, I was having a whole lot of trouble trying to get that heavy gauge wire through the fish's mouth. I even took my son out, and we were missing fish, and I didn't understand why. We were getting good hook sets, good everything, and the mechanics were fine. The problem was we were using too light of equipment for the hooks that we were using. We were using that triple extra heavy super wide gap hook. Again, now let's put this to more traditional type hooks. Would you take a heavy cover flipping hook and use it on this medium rod? No, you wouldn't. I wouldn't. Anybody who would just knows that they're not going to get the penetration they need, and they're not going to get really good hook sets, especially using this lighter line. So what I started to do is I went down to either the extra heavy, or on this one, it's got that standard offset wide gap hook. I got it on a weightless stick worm, right? And I started using it with my kid, doing the same rod with his, medium power spinning rod, and his hookup ratio went from 1 out of every 3 fish to 100%. He was hooking up with every single fish that bit because we're using the right hook for the right application. So just like any other tool, if you don't use the right hook for the right application, it's going to be very, very frustrating. So for your lighter line, lighter wire stuff, use this offset original wide gap hook. You'll be fine. That right there, that's the standard. Now, like I said, the extra heavy, that's your super, your Gamakatsu super line, or your name a brand super line. That's the same consistency as this. Now we got the triple extra heavy. What I use triple extra heavy for, I like swimming worms, I like flipping worms. And what I've had this on is on a 7'3" medium heavy action veracity casting rod. The difference being is these veracities, the medium heavy, they're more like a Magnum medium heavy. I don't know if you ever used an Alva Garcia rod, they're a lot stiffer than most other rods are. So with that being said, I'm able to use this 7'3" rod and really drive home this hook set. And I'm going to show you a picture of a peacock bass that I just tore into with this exact hook. Actually, this exact setup right here. And I'm using 40-pound line, 40-pound braid line, and the 3/8 ounce Wu tungsten with a Wu bead on it. And I was swimming this through lily pads. And this medium heavy, basically a Magnum medium heavy rod, enabled me to really set the hook and drive that hook home into that fish's mouth. I could not have done that with this medium power rod. So again, Trapper Tackle, probably the best hook on the market that you could ever get to. I love these hooks, and if you're using them right for the right application for what you're trying to do, these hooks will work 10 times better than any other hooks you use. So keep that in mind when you go into our shop and you're starting to look for which Trapper Tackle hook you want to use. Make sure that you know what you're going to use the application for. If you're doing your generic Texas rigging, casting, dragging the bottom, dragging a shelf, or driving a drop off, and doing some ledge fishing, I would go with the extra heavy or even down to the standard. The standard is a lighter wire, but it still is going to hold up extremely well. I have yet to bend one of these. Personally, it depends on what application you're using for. Now, if you're going to use, say, a fluke, and you want a hook that's got some keel weight to it to help that fluke work through the water, I'll go with the extra heavy. That's got the thickness of the hook in order to help you out with that. However, it's not so thick that you need to be using heavy gear, and that heavy gear is just not going to cast that really light weightless fluke or stick work on what you're talking about. So again, choose the right product for the right application, and you're going to love these hooks. They're great stuff. I can't wait for you to try them. I can't wait to see your guys' fish catches on them. Make sure you're tagging Crossbone Outfitters on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you, and have a wonderful week. Hope to see you guys catch a lot of fish.